Hideous Energy, episode 152.
Bienvenidos, willkommen, and boa noite.
And good night. The new 152.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not going to talk about DC being stupid. We love DC. We don't.
We don't hate them.
I do.
You're a rage monster.
All of their things.
You're a volcano of rage.
I don't. Although I am kind of sad, though, because I don't really read any DC anymore at all. Not even Batman. I used to be able to say Batman. I don't even read Batman anymore.
This is what they hath wrought, my friend.
Why am I such a dick?
You particularly are a dick for a couple of reasons. First...
I met with DC.
Okay. Well, let's not get into it
then. Hideous Energy, we are a comic book podcast that doesn't talk about comics. My name is David Hopkins.
I'm Austin Wilson. We do talk about comics, but we talk about other things, too.
Well...
You said it wrong. You are a dick.
No. Just because I made an error doesn't mean I'm a dick.
Ordinarily, I would agree with you, but I just can't take back what I said.
It sounded like you said ordinarily.
Ordinarily, I can't take what saying.
You can find us online at hideousenergy.com. If you go to that website in particular, it'll take you to Fanoff.
That's right.
Fanoff hosts our podcast along with a bunch of other ones.
They sure fucking do.
Including ones about wrestling and anime and all kinds of other geeky stuff, so check that out. There's also not geeky stuff on there. I made it sound like it's like a Geek and Sundry site.
What do you mean?
Like there's I don't know if they're still doing it, but there's like a music podcast, Pennsylvania Rock
but you
Show.
can be a geek about music.
Yeah, I know, but the way I said it made it sound like if you go there, it's comics, anime, like only quote-unquote geek hobbies. And that's not the case. They cover a wide range. Like, it's not Geek and Sundry. It's not like that, where they have a lot of content, but it's all geeky in some way.
Yeah.
Some facet.
I disagree with you, but I agree with you.
I don't know how that works.
I don't either, really. The world's a complicated place.
I think you're an idiot.
I don't know.
Also, check us out at hideousenergy.blogspot.com. That is the personal blog that we run, and you can tell because it's not ugly, and it is ugly. I mean, it's not attractive.
Also, a personal blog.
Barely functional. It functions when Google or Blog or whoever owns it decides that it works.
The most that has ever been posted on that blog spot was posted before this podcast ever existed.
Oh yeah, there's not really a reason. Well, the only reason it exists is so that there's a stream of it that you can subscribe to, which you should on iTunes.
You should do that on iTunes, also.
But not the one from us. Do the one from Fanoff because that is art, that's album art.
Either one, it doesn't really matter. It comes from the exact same server.
No, but it does matter. If you get one, it will never have art because we don't know how to do it. If you get it from Fanoff, it will have art every single week.
That's true. If that's important to you, you should subscribe to the Fanoff feed.
Yeah.
If it's not important to you, subscribe to whichever one you want. I did a lot of drugs in the car on the way here.
Also, check us out on Twitter, not Tumblr, and you can email us at hideousenergy@gmail.com.
Yep.
Or call us and leave a voicemail at 1720-HIDEOUS. That's our Google Voice account. If you call that, it will allow you to leave a message. So if you have any comments or questions or
creepy questions you want to leave us, or just statements.
We haven't had any Zodiac killer calls in a while.
We haven't.
So if you feel like
in place of that,
if you feel like killing someone, don't call us. Call a psychiatrist,
helpline.
Someone that can help you.
If you call us and you confess to that, we're going to turn you in.
If you call in and don't leave a name, I might call you John Wayne Gacy. I might call you some type of offensive serial killer name.
It's hard telling what David will say.
Yeah.
But in place of getting creepy serial killer calls, Tiffany Strafebomb Piano C4 wrote us an email about a dream she had that I was in, where I was sexing some girl in the hotel room next to her.
Yep.
And then I was like, she wanted these bracelets that I had.
Did you reply to the email?
No, this is the reply.
Oh, okay.
It's this right here. Hopefully, no, she said she was going to tweet it about it originally, but then she decided to email. So hopefully she doesn't care me airing her dirty dream laundry out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she didn't really do anything dirty in it.
That she reported to us.
That she said, yeah.
Yeah. I certainly was pounding ass in the next hotel room.
Gross.
That's how you know it was a dream.
Yeah, someone else's dream.
It wasn't
not
me.
Even your own.
Yeah, it wasn't me in the other dream eating like fucking Chipotle by myself, reading comics.
Finally, if you want to buy comics, you should buy them from Discount Comic Book Service.
You should do that.
That's it. See you next week.
Go to tcbservice.com. You can get everything for at least 40% off of their website. If you're in Fort Wayne, Indiana, that's where their brick and mortar store is. You can get everything in store for 35% off. And if you go to the website, you can use our one-time only code, Hideous8. That's spell out the word hideous. Type in the numeral 8. It'll give you an additional 8% off of your order, which is already fucking ridiculously discounted. So do that once, and then live the life of a fat comic reader with the PH, not the F. I understand. As soon as I said it, I was like, I'm not making fun of you if you're a bigger person.
I mean, you might be fat.
You could be, but I'm not making fun of you for it.
No, but I mean, maybe, like, look at yourself and figure out what you want in life.
Well,
if being fat is going to be what you want, then you're on your way.
This is the thing that American culture, westernized culture, tends to overlook. Healthiness is not always necessarily mutually exclusive with being thin. You can be healthy and still be a bigger person.
But what I'm saying is, if you weigh like, 350,
and you're 4'8",
yeah, I mean, even I'm 6'2",
yeah,
and I'm still super fat.
Well, yeah, but you know the weight is distributed.
I'm unhealthy.
Across, there you go.
See,
that's the
word.
Thing. That's the word you want to focus on.
Don't take Austin's words as an excuse.
No.
To be a fatty.
I'm not saying be fat. Although, if you are, there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's a lot of body types. You want to be healthy. You don't want to be the mom from What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
No.
First of all, they're going to burn your fucking house down around you and kill you. You're all going to be dead. You're already dead. But they're going to have to burn the house down.
They didn't do that at all.
They did.
No, you made it sound like the town went there with pitchforks and burned the monster's house down.
It wasn't like a
and murdered her.
Yeah, What's Eating Gilbert Grape is the fucking militia. It's outside
it's
his
the vicious
house.
Murder of his mom.
No, his mom died, and then they had to burn the house down. It's the saddest fucking movie ever.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape? They burned his mom alive.
The painful memory of his mom's murder.
He listened to his mom's fat crackle and pop as she screamed.
That fat crackle and pop. Rice Krispie treats.
Topic Thunder.
I wasn't in New York this weekend.
I was.
You weren't.
Which is funny because I was also with you in Fort Wayne
at
Discount Comic Book Services.
You weren't there.
Comics.
There was a big convention in New York this weekend called New York Comic Con.
According to my sources, it was attended more than San Diego was.
According to Harry Knowles, it was hashtag NYCC the best 4 days of his year, which is a lie. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
I'm getting all these notes from Wired.com, by the way. NYCC uses attendee Twitter accounts to post tweets praising NYCC.
Oh, that was the tweet. I knew that they were doing it, but I didn't know what the tweet was.
Perhaps the most unexpected story to come out of New York Comic Con involved the new RFID badges, which attendees could optionally link to their social media accounts. What people failed to realize, however, was linking their Twitter account would allow the event to tweet laudatory comments about how great a time they were having.
Yep.
Polygon editor Brian Crescente seemed overwhelmed by excitement, tweeting, "So much pop culture to digest. Can't handle the awesome." He didn't tweet that. People got super pissed, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Don't you ever fucking tweet something and make it look like I tweeted it.
And NYCC apologized and blah, blah, blah. So that was pretty crazy. I couldn't believe that happened.
Yeah, when I
would have lost my mind.
No, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I can't fuck. Like, it's one of those things that because of how our culture has developed, and especially because how our culture has developed its relationship with social media, the concept of being pissed that someone else tweeted from my account.
Well, see, I wouldn't have been
it look like me
if I linked my account up and it tweeted something like, "I'm at NYCC." Well, even that. If it was just like NYCC, it was something more like almost a commercial.
Yeah.
If I linked my account, I wouldn't necessarily be mad as much as I would be like, oh, okay, they're going to spam, and I would probably turn it off. But if you start posting tweets that are very specific to where it's like, this is the best 4 days of my year, like that is so specific and very much sounds like you are saying it as opposed to like there's a spam thing coming from your phone.
Absolutely, purposefully made these tweets look like they were not spam. They made them look like people actually typed them.
And they have hyperlinks at the ends of them, but still, I mean, it
is just the most duplicitous thing that they could do with what they were given
Yeah.
in this situation. Because if I link my account normally, like let's say I'll buy that Tweetbot app. Almost immediately, the Tweetbot app will say something like, do you want to follow Tweetbot? And it will give me the option to follow them. There are other apps that don't do that, where they make you follow that person or like company immediately, and then when you finally find out that you're fucking following this place that you don't care to follow at all, you unfollow them. And even that pisses me off, but it wouldn't piss me off as much as if someone tweeted from my account and made it look like I was tweeting it.
Yeah.
Because just because I'm going to New York Comic Con, that doesn't mean that I'm endorsing them on some sort of like public level, or I'm not a member of your PR team.
Well, if I'm gonna link my badge with my Twitter account or whatever, I'm gonna tweet about whatever it is.
Well, that's the thing.
I mean, like, don't tweet for me. I'm
gonna
gonna do it,
Like, I'm gonna be tweeting at New York City,
and that might be good or it might be bad.
well, that's the thing is,
But it's my opinion.
if you do this, you're making it really easy for me to decide what I'm gonna tweet when I find out. Because from Austin Wilson's perspective, the first tweet I send out after finding out about this is, "Hey," and then I'm going to @mention New York Comic Con. Fuck you, and then discuss why you shouldn't be tweeting from my account.
And the Wire, there was another Wired article last month where they talked about how Reed Pop, who is basically the convention organizers, they also do C2E2, I believe, right?
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I didn't know that.
They had shared personal contact information provided by journalists during their press registration. I know that's true because we get emails from people after
my
we sign up for
God.
press.
The emails we still get from signing up for C2E2 are
apparently-
fucking bananas.
So they had shared, according to this Wired article, home phone numbers and addresses with exhibitors too. And after consultation with some of the journalists whose information had been shared, the company removed home addresses and phone numbers from the list so they would not be shared moving forward.
I can't fucking believe
I don't get it,
that
man.
adults would do this shit and not be like, maybe it's a bad idea.
It makes me wonder if they had some kind of deal with exhibitor. Not maybe a deal, or maybe maybe a legit deal, or maybe something that's more under the table where it's like, oh, well, we'll hook you up with some stuff if you do this, or whatever else.
I don't know what most other people would say, but I can't imagine a situation where you spam me and it works to your benefit. If you spam me, if you go out of your way, you send me junk email that I didn't solicit, I didn't ask for. You might even send me something along the same lines of things I like.
Well, some of them are, when we get them at the beginning, like right before the con, are legit, because it's like, hey, we're giving you basically first shot at doing interviews with creators and stuff, and usually it's for like people who are trying to get promotion. So it's not like, hey, you want to do an interview with Scott Snyder or something like that. It's usually like, hey, we're launching this new board game or something like that. And that's fine. I get that.
No, we get press emails.
Yeah.
None of the emails we get are personalized or are offering us anything special as far as something that other journalists can't get.
Yeah.
They're doing it for anyone who has a press badge or who has signed up for a press badge.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Obviously, they're disseminating the information to this large group of press who is going to the shows. But after a certain point, it's junk.
Yeah.
You're not telling me anything that I can't figure out, either by getting to the show or just by watching a website that's going to be like, hey, this person's going to be at the show floor at this time. If your email is, like you said, some of them are saying, press has the opportunity to get on the floor first.
Yeah, but in October, 6 months after C2E2, those emails aren't going to happen, and it's just complete spam.
No, yeah, we're getting nothing but junk at this point from being signed up for press accounts.
So, suck it, New York Comic Con. Not really, because if we ever want to go there, we want you to give us press badges for free.
Well, we do want to go there, but...
well, if we ever go there, I should say.
Yeah. Did you see this other thing that happened? I fucking hate that almost every single con that happens, there's stories that come out like this. This girl was getting interviewed by this team. These guys came up to her, and she was a cosplayer, and they were like, hey, we want to do an interview with you. So she's like, okay. So they turn the camera on, and the guy stares straight at her tits immediately.
Like as a joke?
I don't...
For the camera?
You'll see. So she says, she like kind of makes a joke at it, even though she's uncomfortable. She says, eyes up here. So he looks up at her and he says, Okay, first question: does your costume help you get laid? At which point she was pissed off and turned around and was like, "Fuck you," and walked away. So she took a picture of these dumbasses and posted it online, and then it turned out that, well, also she went straight to security and doing it to other girls too. So it turned out that they were from this show called Man Banter, and had lied and said that they were there for Sirius satellite radio, and they weren't. And they got on the show floor that way. And since all of this has come to light, their Twitter account, their Facebook account, their YouTube account, it's all deleted completely. And Man Banter, the fucking assholes behind that show, were like, you know what? Yeah, we made a mistake. We're never going back to the show again. Which is funny because New York Comic Con released a statement and they were like, yeah, these fuckers are never coming back. We're going to make sure of it. So then Man Banter was obviously like, oh, we're not going to go back. It's not up to you, assholes.
You didn't fire us, we quit.
Yeah, exactly. I just hate fucking hearing stuff like that.
I mean, I hate it too, but I was expecting there to be a bad ending to that story. That's good.
No, yeah.
Like, she reported it and then they got in trouble, and
yeah.
Like, that's usually not what happens.
Yeah. I'm glad that happened. I'm just so pissed off that there was a situation where that had to be done.
I mean, me too, but what I say is keep doing that until...
Keep reporting people?
Yeah, keep reporting people until either it's not a problem anymore or people are too scared to do it.
I had never heard this.
Because before we go off on that, hold on.
Okay.
We recorded a segment one time and then didn't air it because it was too dark about how easy it would be
con security.
to take weapons into a convention and basically do anything. There's no security at all.
Zero.
So I was excited to see it, C2E2 I think it was, that they beefed it up, which the Boston bombing had just happened.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that that's something that continues on. I mean, we still weren't like frisked or scanned or anything, but
they would check bags sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell that there was a higher presence or whatever.
Had you heard about this thing? I was reading up about these dickheads at New York City harassing girls, and apparently
where'd you read this? I didn't see any of this stuff.
Kelly Thompson posted it on Facebook, where I saw it.
Oh.
There's apparently at Dragon Con this thing called the Purple Ribbon Club. I might be misremembering the name, but it was people who...
It's about the sexy meetups?
No, it's...
Because that's a thing.
Well, that is a thing, but it's about people...
At Dragon Con specifically.
...who wear purple ribbons, letting you know that if they have a problem and like they need to be protected or to turn someone in, if they see a purple ribbon, then that person is going to do everything they can to help you. And a lot of people...
I'm already confused. So I wear a purple ribbon, and if someone tells me they need help, I help them?
Yeah.
Or they wear a purple ribbon?
You would.
The helper does?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then apparently, like, in situations where people are being harassed, from what I remember reading, there were, like, people who would just, like, gather around whoever is being harassed and be, like, helping them get rid of whoever is fucking with them because the security was bad and wasn't reacting quickly enough or at all. Could be misremembering this completely.
Yeah, and in situations like this, I think it's wrong to blame what security there is. There just needs to be more. Either more or...
I don't think it's wrong to blame what security
because
there
they're
is.
Not security. I mean, it's most of the time it's just volunteers that work there.
Well, I'm not talking about the volunteers. I'm talking about actual security.
Right, which I never see other than the entrance.
We normally...
and exits, that's it.
We've normally never, ever dealt with actual con security, whether it's supplied by the convention itself or whatever convention center or whatever. It's a weird topic to have to discuss.
Well, I mean, when there's 30,000 people in there, like...
Well, it's just one of those necessities. Like, there's going to have to be security. There are going to be idiots. There are going to be problems. So you have to deal with them when they arise or try and make them not arise ever. So...
I say give everybody that cosplays tasers. Tase people.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, the people that not just go out and just tase the fans, but I mean, tase people that are harassing you.
Sure. I think that's a great idea.
Let's just give everyone guns. I'm an American.
That's right. It's our God-given law.
Murder's fine if you're in costume, right? If you're wearing a costume?
Circuses.
Circuses, the number one death reason of death in America.
I mean, like Dick Grayson, circus death.
I was like, does he kill people?
No, his parents His parents got killed at a circus.
And it was legal, you're right.
Yeah, see,
the cops did nothing.
That's why nothing ever happened, and then he struggled with it for the rest of his life. The cops were like, it was at a circus.
That's legit, man. They were clowns.
In the Three Rings, it's just the way it goes. That's the way the shit crumbles.
All right, so next thing out of New York Comic Con doesn't involve them being dicks. It does involve Dark Horse lovingly touching us with happiness.
Yeah.
They announced 2 big sci-fi relaunches, including a new Serenity series by Zach Whedon and George Chanty, as well as the long-awaited relaunch of the Aliens universe, which will encompass 4 separate comics. Aliens, Predator, Aliens vs. Predator, and a new series spinning out from Prometheus from 2012.
You know what, man? I really want those comics to be good. The track record for comics dealing with the world of Aliens and Predator and their inevitable mashup is a bad track record.
I don't think it's bad. It's just always been. Well, I think there's a reason it was thriving in the 90s. It's always been
those things
based
are
off of visuals and
yes,
violence,
yes.
and that's it. So if they do more of that, I mean, that's fine. It won't be for me, but
yeah, even though they've never ever been able to capture what those movies have. And you know,
which ones? Because they've perfectly captured a lot of those movies.
That's not a lot of them, because Alien is, even though it is a horror, like a sci-fi horror movie, it's written really well, and it's acted very well. It's a great movie from beginning to end. The first Predator is one of the best action movies ever, in my opinion. And those comics, while they might be like fun or it's just like here's violence, they've rarely ever been able to capture any of that. I like the second Predator movie. I know it's not.
Well, I mean, the first one is that way too. I mean, the first Predator is a great action movie, yeah. In terms of like a story or character development,
the story
there's basically
survive.
Yeah, it's basically kill and survive.
Character development in Predator is not really a thing. In Alien, it is, which is why that Alien versus Predator movie is so fucking awful, because it's. Ugh, I don't want to get into it. And I just the Dark Horse stuff, even like that Superman versus Alien comic that I love, is not good. It's just not a good comic.
I just think that you're going at it from a bad. Like, I think if you look at it as it's going to be exactly what it sounds like.
You mean bad?
No, Aliens versus Superman or whatever.
Oh, I thought you meant the Alien stuff.
No, what?
Just any Alien comic.
No, not anything, but I mean, like, historically that's how they've been. It doesn't mean that these new ones are going to be that way, but
no, it doesn't.
Growing up, I always knew that if I bought an Alien or a Predator or, mixed together with whatever property, it was going to be people getting killed and those characters fighting each other.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Well, mixing Alien versus Predator or Alien versus Predator versus Terminator or whatever you want to do, you almost immediately just limit yourself to kind of a parody almost, where you're doing action, but it's just you're basically limiting the story possibilities, because there has to be a Terminator, there has to be a Predator, there has to be an Alien. So then you're kind of left with all of these tiny holes that you have to fill to make that work. So that's why an Alien versus Predator comic doesn't really appeal to me, whereas a Predator comic could appeal to me, just like.
But that would just be more of the same stuff. Just be more action fighting. Kill.
Not necessarily. I mean,
I know, but I mean, judging off of the movies is what I'm saying.
If you go off of Predator,
if you made a Predator comic that was deep in plot and character development, that's a milestone for Predator. Is what I'm like. That would be very, very different.
I think it's possible. And
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying, I think for the people who dug these comics and are excited about these comics, like they're looking at it from the perspective of the IP and being interested and like excited about seeing more new content with those intellectual properties, as opposed to like, man, I hope these are really rich in like story or.
See, that's what I don't understand about the Alien property though, because that first Alien film is that, and even though the second, Aliens, kind of, it is, man.
I mean, there definitely is character development with Ripley.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of it in terms of
Bishop.
In the second one, there's more of him. But
there's character development with Ripley, with Bishop, with the dude Tom Skerritt plays.
Bishop is in the first one.
He's not. He's in the second one.
Okay, yeah.
And even in the third Alien film, listen. Bishop has a little bit more development, just like Ripley does. Even though that movie is what it is.
Is he in it?
Bishop barely.
Oh yeah, he shows up in one scene.
She picks up his like dead fucking carcass and
connects him again.
Yeah, restarts him, and he's like,
pours a gallon of milk on him.
And he's like, Ripley, and there's yogurt everywhere. If you haven't seen these movies, you gotta see them.
Not the third one. No. I would never ever tell someone that they need to watch the third one.
For posterity's sake, I would say you should watch it. If you're going to watch it, you might as well watch all 4 of them.
Oh yeah, I would tell you to watch. At least the fourth one is fun.
Well, it's because
and stupid.
No, it's
the
because,
third one's just bad.
Well, the third one, yeah. What you need to do is watch the Blu-ray and specifically watch David Fincher just shit on Fox's head about how fucking terrible they are. Anyway, comics, right?
Out of those, I don't really care about any of them. Except for the Prometheus one.
That's the thing is,
that's the one I would
want
to read.
I want to care about them, but they make it hard for me to have high hopes.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
That's not a proper answer.
What's a proper answer?
That's not a proper answer to what I said.
I mean, I just don't like. Did you like the old comics?
No, even back then.
Well, then I don't know why you're upset about these.
Because the properties offer them such opportunity, and they have never capitalized on it.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Even the movies, when you like break them down and look at them, I mean, there's not a lot of them. But when you look at the 4 Alien movies, 2 of them are good. When you look at the Predator movies,
arguably only 2 of them are good.
You don't think the first 2 are good?
No, I do, but I also think the 4th one is good.
I like the 4th one too.
You and I have both watched it recently.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's not very good.
Well, that's the
it's
thing.
It's a madcap like.
No, it's because Whedon knew what he was doing, and comparing it to the first one, obviously it is not going to be in the same category at all.
No,
but
there's aliens in it.
That's true, and action, and there's an android. So,
oh yeah.
Other than that, yeah, it's a different genre. Just like the second one's a different genre, but. Whether or not we want to argue if James Cameron has a more deft hand at rendering characters within an action film, that's arguable also. But also, I forget who screenwrote it. Anyway.
I think he did. The second one?
But, yeah, I think he might
I think
be
he
right.
wrote it, yeah.
This was, pre-Avatar. But it's like, even in that movie, the action is, for the most part, what is pushing the film forward. But there is this character development. Like
which one are you talking about?
The second one.
Oh,
because you see Ripley's.
I thought we were talking about the 4th one.
We were for a second. Hang on. You see Ripley's.
Because I agree about the second movie. It's good.
You see Ripley's relationship with Newt, and you see that still a badass in the second film, maybe even more so. But there's this maternal instinct that she has, where she's trying to protect Newt, and that's some of the best stuff in the entire Alien series, is her protecting Newt. And then, the third one, she got a shaved head.
Dude, it's awful.
It's bad.
Bad. I liked it a lot when I was a kid, but when I did rewatch it as an adult,
nah, man. Even
as
a kid, I was like, this is fucking boring.
No, I liked it because of I liked it for the same reason I liked the comics, because it was violent and it had aliens in it.
Yeah.
So that's why with these comics, I'm just like, it depends on the creative teams that they get. It's different now because back then I don't even know who did those comics back then. I wouldn't have cared.
The addition of Prometheus,
that one I would be interested to read, because Prometheus of all of the movies.
Still recording? Can we check?
I think so.
I'm pretty scared. Okay.
Yeah, of all the movies, that one set up the most opportunities for like a universe in terms of.
I think it did
mythology, but also it built on the other. It basically kind of took everything that came before, which was like a tiny piece in each movie, and then combined it and added more. Which a lot of people would say that it sucked and didn't do that, but I thought it did.
Well, see, I like.
To me, that's what that movie was about.
Prometheus, possibilities.
Yeah, and like setting, like kind of trying to make a more coherent universe, as opposed to. It definitely wasn't about
plot
science.
No, I like the possibilities that are in the first Alien film and the possibilities in the second Alien film. Alien 3 is off the table completely. The fourth Alien film does bring very interesting ideas, specifically because they do go back to Earth very briefly.
Yeah, but that one...
they don't even land.
I don't even know how they're ever going to try to tie back into that movie, because it is set, no joke, like 3,000 years in the future.
Yeah.
It's such a huge jump of time that it's It's ridiculous. It might as well not even be in the same universe.
They probably just won't ever worry about it.
That's my guess. Because Ripley's in it, but she's like
A clone.
one of 50 million clones they've done.
It's like 15, but
Well, no, they show on the ship like
they showed
a ton of failed
failures.
ones.
It's not 50 million. The ship's not that
it's
big.
been 3,000 years, dude. Who knows how many clones there have been?
They only showed 15 of them.
Well, I didn't mean in the movie. They didn't show a planet of Ripley's.
I would watch that.
I wouldn't.
Uh,
Yeah, I would.
Serenity is what we're talking about now, because I've just
Oh, they also have another thing on here about Buffy, but no one cares about Buffy.
yeah. Emery's grumbling.
No, it says also announced Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire. Buffy the Slampire Bear. Seasons 10.
She takes the bear pill so she doesn't have a heart attack.
Season 10, 30-issue series that will, like Season 9, be accompanied by a 30-issue Angel and Faith series. Who's Faith?
It's
Zoe Deschanel?
No, Liza
New
Dushku.
girl?
Yeah, she's quirky. She has glasses.
Jess?
Yeah.
Huh? She's the second Slayer? Who's the first? Buffy? There's like a million of them, right?
The show's
you don't mean first ever.
The show's called Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, I know, but he said she's the second Slayer. Like the first Slayer was Buffy.
Dies momentarily in the first season. A new Slayer is born.
Buffy dies momentarily in the first season.
Fucking spoilers.
I've seen the first season. That didn't happen.
Show's like 20 years old.
It is.
Baxter kills her.
I don't remember
does?
any of this.
Baxter?
Wait, so
Baxter the dog.
Is he a fly? Is
so
he a
is
giant fly?
Zoe Deschanel in the first season
It's Eliza Dushku.
from Bring It On?
Yes. Yes.
I got Jordan.
Stop it. We need to talk.
All right, so Serenity, Aliens, blah, blah, blah. Marvel's relaunching all of their titles. They're not. They're going to be doing like Marvel Now again or something. No one cares.
The new 616.
Between-
Spelled Knew.
Between January and March, including Avengers World, which launches in 2014. It looks at a global look at the impact of the Avengers. That book they actually didn't really announce. I remember them talking about that. It's a Hickman book.
Is that Ben Reilly in the top left corner?
No,
Because
that's
it sure fucking looks like him.
no, that's Superior Spider-Man's new costume, which is really cool. It's a sweet costume.
That's because it's Ben Reilly's Spider-Man
It's
costume.
It's not exactly. When you look at like that's a bad representation. When you look at it, it looks like the costume design that Alex Ross did for the first Spider-Man movie that they didn't use.
Really?
Remember that had like
Yeah.
the black and like the black lenses and
Yeah.
stuff.
Full goggles like Doc Ock, too.
Like he already had goggles in the first costume, didn't he?
Yeah.
They like popped out. Man, it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
If you read Ultimate Spider-Man, you're a good person. Almost destroyed that. Other new titles include Avengers Undercover, which sounds stupid. I don't know anything about
It's gonna be
it.
Captain America in a trench coat with a fedora on.
It's an ongoing series about teen heroes who pretend to be villains in order to take down the bad guys from the inside. It sounds like a mix of Avengers Academy and Runaways, but also exactly like something I don't want to read.
I don't know why my first reaction to it is like to shrug. Just be like, whatever.
It ultimately, all the snark and just me being a douchebag boils down to only one thing, and it's who's going to be doing the books.
Yeah.
Because as boring as that sounds, if like Fraction or Bendis or somebody Whedon, whoever it is that's going to be writing the book is someone I really like their stuff, then I'll read it.
Well, there's also a possibility that it's going to be by someone you don't know and still be good.
Yeah, that's possible.
I know.
I always read the number ones. I always check those out.
Emery just puked into his own mouth.
I always read the number ones and kind of go from there. There's also a chance it could be written by Zeb Wells.
That's a good chance also, yeah.
Then there's Loki, Agent of Asgard, Iron Patriot. Then they're doing relaunches for New Warriors, Punisher, Elektra, Captain Marvel, Black Widow, and the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer one is illustrated by Mike Allred, but then written by Dan Slott. So I set you up to be excited, and then I knocked you down.
Yeah, you pushed me into the dirt.
The Elektra one Elektra's always a character that I've wanted to like, so I'm always kind of excited when they do series with her because Greg Rucka did a cool run on her. Bendis did not.
She could be cool.
Zeb Wells is writing this one, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and forget about that. Nathan Edmondson, the writer of Who Are Jake Ellis or whatever it's called.
Who is Jake Ellis and where is Jake Ellis?
He's doing the Punisher relaunch, and then there's also going to be a Ghost Rider one. I forget who writes it, but Tradd Moore is going to be illustrating
doing
it,
the art,
which is pretty sweet. Let's see. At the RG Comics panel, they teased a new storyline where Betty and Veronica will be replaced by two new characters. We don't talk about Archie, although I really want to read the Afterlife with Archie comic that came out last week.
where they grow up and be old.
No, I have that. That's like the Married Life or whatever. This comic is illustrated by Francesco Francavilla, and it's like a zombie apocalypse.
What?
Yeah, the whole thing's illustrated by him.
Look, I haven't read
I want to read that.
I haven't read a lot of Archie, and truth be told, I have almost zero desire to read any Archie. But
I used to read it a lot when I was a kid.
I really like that the comics are still relevant, and that the company still they make it a point to be relevant.
Well, that Married Life stuff is cool.
Yeah.
Like they take that to a pretty good, a pretty logical level in terms of trying to do more than just like, holy cow, how am I going to meet both of these gals? Like it's more like that one legit has parallel universes and like crazy stuff that happens that you would never expect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it still has that same feel of Archie stuff. This is my favorite headline. Web cartoonist Kate Beaton is making a new book involving a fat pony.
Have you ever seen that fat pony?
I recognize the art, but does she do it on her website or something?
It makes me giggle. I just giggle
that
so
yes?
hard. Yeah, I've seen her post it on the blog. It's just fat pony.
It's a children's book for Scholastic.
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a fat pony.
Batman is going to get a new book because it doesn't have enough.
Nope.
DC revealed it's given the character a brand new weekly series for his 75th birthday. It's called Batman Eternal. It will launch in spring 2014, run for a year, written and drawn by a number of creators, featuring different storylines with one focus, bringing Gotham City back to life to prepare for the next three-quarter century of the Dark Knight's career. I don't understand that. Is all of Gotham City dead?
I hope so.
If you've been wondering what you should get, the man who has bad editions of everything. Okay, that's stupid. It's actually got a bunch of sweet talent on it, but we already have this book. It's called Batman Black and White, and we also have it a second time called Legends of the Dark Knight, so I'm not really sure why we're doing this.
75 years. Depending on if you're going to let these creators tell issue-long stories or multiple issue-long stories, then this could potentially work and be good.
In an unprecedented move, at the DC Superman panel, writer Scott Lobdell revealed that Superboy will die in an upcoming arc. The unprecedented move part was from me, not from Wired, because why would I read that now?
Who fucking cares?
Like, why would you spoil it like that?
He's going to die? I bet he won't ever come back. Also, thanks for telling me he's going to die.
Hasn't he died like 4 times too?
My first question...
Connor Kent, is that his name?
My first question is, fuck you.
That's not a question.
Fuck you?
This is the most interesting story to me. Everyone knew that Marvel had finally obtained the rights to Marvel Man / Miracle Man a long time ago, and everyone's been waiting for announcements. They finally announced. They're going to be reprinting the Alan Moore stuff, the Neil Gaiman stuff from the 1980s, 1990s. It's been out of print for more than a decade. Yes.
I torrented this at one point to read it, and then I forgot about it, and I think deleted it.
They teased it back in 2009. It'll launch in January 2014. It's going to be recolored and relettered. And then where Neil Gaiman's story left off, they never finished it. Him and Mark Buckingham never did, and they're going to finish the story.
I've actually read one of Neil Gaiman's Miracle Man scripts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I bought a book of scripts by writers. I think there's maybe like 3 volumes of it at this point. This guy compiled just comic book scripts, and the first volume has one of Gaiman's Miracle Man scripts in it.
I've always wanted to read them because all you hear about is how good that stuff is.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to buy.
Did you see more about this? It's obvious. It's not a surprise since Alan Moore is involved.
Wait, Moore? Moore?
Bingo, baby.
Okay.
Sorry. I saw this on Ed Brubaker's Twitter account. He was talking about how when Marvel announced this, they didn't say the name Alan Moore.
Yeah, I saw, what's his name, who always tries to pick fights on Twitter.
Mark Waid?
No. Good guess, though. Brandon Graham.
Brandon Graham.
I saw him.
He does pick fights
Yeah,
on
I saw
Twitter.
him say something like, oh, okay, so they're not going to even mention Alan Moore's name. And someone tweeted at him and was like, I'm pretty sure it's because Alan Moore requested that they not do it. Which is what is not a surprise. He does that every single time this stuff happens.
He doesn't fucking care. Either he requested that they didn't, or they're contractually obligated not to. Because in the press release, no shit, it says something like, and finally, if you have anything to compare to Watchmen, like they seriously tap dance around his name and don't say it.
I wonder if they can print it and not put who wrote it in it.
Yes, I would say yes. Because for that Watchmen film to be like Watchmen by Dave Gibbons, Like that, you're literally lying.
Yeah, that's not the only one. That all of them are like that.
Yeah,
V for Vendetta's like that, and so is I think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is too.
Yeah, it's
hopefully. if any of them should not have his name on
let's
it.
hope all of those films just that one specifically just bursts into flames and it ceases to be. I don't know. I mean, he might not. He might have some contract with them where they just can't say that he wrote it. I don't understand
how that would work though.
I don't
because this isn't creator-owned work.
No, it's not. It's for them.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even for Marvel back then, was it?
Eclipse or Valiant?
Yeah,
or
it wasn't Valiant.
Vsauce
I think
or something.
Vsauce. I think it was Eclipse.
I don't know.
But like, if Marvel owns the rights at this point to it, like,
I don't know, man. I guess I never want to rule out the possibility that there is a law or a contract that lets them do whatever they want to do. For all I know, there's a contract that could say this was written by a fucking duck ass. Like, they can print what they want. Obviously.
Here's my guess.
Okay.
If it's something that Alan Moore doesn't want,
yes,
he will. If he hasn't already, he will tell us.
He will tell us, and then also he will not get that thing.
What do you mean?
Whatever he wants to happen, the opposite of that will happen.
I mean in terms of him saying, like, pretty much if I don't hear Alan Moore being pissed off, then I'm assuming that everyone's within their legal rights. Or,
well, dude, you know what?
Or he's not mad about it.
I had an epiphany. I feel bad for Alan Moore. Do you know why? Because that guy has only ever failed to get what he wants. Like, he was like, look, Watchmen is a comic that cannot be adapted into a film. Guess what, fucker? Not only are we going to make the film, we're going to make the fucking animated pirate film.
But see, I don't know. Obviously, this is going to be argued forever. I look at that and it's like, yep, they got screwed. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, dude, if you wanted this to be the comic that would never be adapted in another medium, why'd you do it for DC Comics?
Well, my argument again. It's one of those.
I mean, I'm sure he probably thought he was safe.
No, yeah, that's the argument. Is that he didn't think they were going to fuck him as hard as they could. But in this case, like, I don't know.
Well, I saw what was it? It was Mike Mignola. Today I was reading about Hellboy, like the creation of Hellboy and how it all came about.
Yeah. And
he talked about how it all came about because he was starting to put a lot of stuff into his Marvel and DC work, and then he was like, I just want to do this. Like, if I'm going to tell these stories, I want to tell them. Yeah. And so at first I didn't know this. He pitched it to DC and they loved it and they wanted to do it, but they couldn't have a book. They didn't want to have a book called Hellboy, like on the stands or whatever.
I'm kind of surprised that.
But it didn't sound, at least what I read, it didn't sound like
think about
he got a bad feeling. It was just they were like, look, we like this a lot, but I mean, we can't do
Hellboy.
it. You know, and probably I'm sure they asked him to change the name or something, so he went to Dark Horse.
Heck boy. Well, think about
Angry Man,
like itty bitty Hellboy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who are you selling that comic to?
Yeah, I mean, my guess at this point is that it's soft. That the brand has softened at least because of the movies and the cartoons.
Well, obviously that particularly Itty Bitty Hellboy is supposed to be aimed at younger readers, but it's still called Hellboy. He is still the son of the devil.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I think like public perception of the brand has, because of the movies and those cartoons, more so the movies, has softened, because those movies are they're still dark, but they're definitely lighter than the comics.
Yeah, they are.
And people look at it and know, like, oh, Hellboy's a good guy. Like, he fights evil.
He is a good guy, but he also
he is in the comics too, but he's also like the son of a devil.
Yeah.
I think namely Satan, if I remember right.
Correct. The Morning Star.
I'm sure they don't touch on that in Itty Bitty Hellboy.
The Fallen Dark One. I doubt they do,
but
man.
See, but even if
there's no way they could.
But even if they did, even if they ever did that, to me, that's going to be that to me is my absolute favorite part of Hellboy. And if I ever have kids, and that Hellboy would be a character that I would seriously, if they got into comics, I wouldn't force them to read comics or anything.
To use like morals.
That I would promote, because to me, Hellboy is infinitely interesting because he is born into it. He is destined.
Yeah.
Everything about him is set up to be.
He has horns.
Yeah, to be the absolute worst thing to bring about the destruction of the world.
And he loves pancakes.
To kill humanity. but yet he fights all against that. Like, even having him have... I've read a lot about Hellboy, so I'm on a kick. Today, I mean. Even like the right hand of Doom.
Yeah.
Like, that's not his actual...
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Of course we did. It sounded like a trumpet mixed with an elephant.
I had to clear my throat.
Even like the right hand of Doom.
Yeah.
That object or whatever that he has that is attached to him, he knows it's better for him to protect it than for anyone else to have it.
Yeah.
So he takes on that burden. So to me, yeah, I get it if it's not an itty bitty Hellboy, but I mean, teach those lessons that you can be predestined to be whatever. You can think that you're supposed to be this bad person, but he makes a choice to not be.
I guess I just don't understand from a publishing perspective, someone being like, you know what we should try and sell to our younger readers? Hellboy.
I mean, Balthazar and Franco could draw Hitler and make it look cute and accessible enough.
Hitler boy.
To just Hitler, little Adolf. This little Hitler kid with his tiny hand up in the air.
Oh, God. That's horrible.
That is. Transformers and G.I. Joe is going to cross over. I don't read either of these comics, but this is pretty cool. Tom Scioli, is that how you say his name?
Sure.
That's how we say it. He's an awesome artist. He has a very Jack Kirby thing going on.
I'm sure he's sick of hearing it, but
stop drawing like Jack Kirby. Your art's great. It's not a knock. I mean, it's really good, but it's very Kirby-esque.
For the record, I don't know that he is sick of hearing it.
Oh yeah, I mean, shut up, Tom. That's my reply. He created American Barbarian for Ad House, but then he also does that book, or he did that book, Godland. With Joe Casey.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing the new series, which I think is awesome. Usually those IPs over at IDW, every once in a while you'll get somebody in there who's a name or is just amazing. Like Gabriel Rodriguez did a what's that dude's name? Clive Barker novel adaptation there.
He
also did
CSI.
Yeah, but he also did was it Transformers? It was one of these IPs. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Don't remember.
Or a zombie thing or something. And finally, this one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The 1960s independent company Gold Key, they did Magnus Robot Fighter, Solar Man of the Atom, and the most cool of all, Turok, Son of Stone, or Turok Dinosaur Hunter if you had a Nintendo 64 in 1997.
Yeah.
They're going to be relaunched via Dark Horse Comics. Mark Waid, Greg Pak, Fred Van Lente are going to be some of the people involved. I always thought Turok was awesome.
I loved Turok.
So cool.
It's hard for me to be objective about him because my memories are just so strongly tied to those Nintendo games that I
all mine
lived
are.
through.
I think I had a Turok comic from Valiant, like in the 90s.
I had one or two.
And there's like a pink convertible in it. And
Ugh.
I think that it was like trying to either cross over or capitalize on that game and TV show. What was that game? That Cadillacs and Dinosaurs? Was that what it was called?
What?
Do you not remember that? You guys don't remember that?
No.
I'll look it up after the segment. Yeah, there was a TV show or a video game or both called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, and I'm pretty sure that they had a convertible that like time traveled.
I played the shit out of those Turok games. There was one Turok game that came out right before Perfect Dark did, and it was a multiplayer-only game.
It was Blood Wars or
I think
Turok
so, yeah.
Blood Wars. Or
There was a gun in it that shot this little metal like orb at you, and it would chase you. Like you would lock onto someone, and then
Is
you
that the one
shoot
going
it.
to your brain?
It would latch onto your head and then liquefy your brains and shoot your brains out of your head.
I remember that.
Man, it was awesome. Turok, baby. And now a special news bulletin. Hideous Energy thinks you should read this.
You should read this. I just pretended that we didn't have an intro to
I
it.
was going to say, just repeating the intro in a worse way. It's a different, that's a different intro.
I don't remember what that is.
I don't know. This one's...
It's Read 'em and Weep.
Yeah. You don't need to hear about our intros. You hear them when you listen to the show. This is You Should Read This. We're going to talk about 2 books that you should read. David, it is your turn to go first.
It's not. You went first, second last time. I don't even know what I said.
I think you said you went first, second last time.
Yeah. You went first, second last time.
Do you want me to go first this time?
I don't care. Emery, did I go first last time or did he?
You guys got in a fight about it.
So we got to do a fight about it.
You were wrong about it.
Last time?
Yeah, you pointed out he always goes first, and then you offered to let him go first.
Who should go first this time?
He should.
Oh,
Okay.
whatever. That's funny. We almost did what we do just then. Was that a fight? Did we get into a fight about it again?
A quarrel.
Tete-a-tete.
Shut up, man.
Fuck
We're
you.
going to get into a fight now.
Fuck you, asshole. The book that I'm picking comes with an if. You should read.
For the second week in a row.
You should read this if.
You kind of aren't good at this segment.
Eh.
It's called You Should Read This. Not you should maybe read this if you're into these very specific things.
Well, no, that's the thing is,
because you did this last week too.
you should read this book, but I need to also tell you that there's a couple things that you need to know before you go in to read it. It's not bad. Like,
Well, like last week's book, like 90% of the people that listening probably aren't going to be able to read that.
90% of the people listening?
It's a complete total guess, obviously.
Yes, based on nothing.
But I mean, it's a comic book podcast, and you recommend a script book, which isn't wrong.
Comic book scripts.
Yeah, it is, but they're scripts.
How do you approach this segment then? Do you pick books that you think everyone, everywhere, anytime will love always?
I mean, I pick stuff that I think that's pretty accessible, or at least accessible from the sense of you've listened to the show, or like you have listened to this show so far.
Yeah.
And see what we're into. So, no, not script books, but it's not wrong that you picked that. It's just kind of funny because this is the second week in a row now where you're like, you should read this. But let me explain more about who you are before you decide to.
Well, I'm going to say
who you have to be.
The book that I am telling you that you should read is The Unwritten, Tommy Taylor and the Ship That Sank Twice.
Okay.
It's written by Mike Carey. It's illustrated by Peter Gross. I'm looking at Goodreads right now. They're actually doing a pretty bad job telling me who all is on the book because it's not just Peter Gross that's on art duties. There's other people doing it as well. It's got a fucking gorgeous cover by Yuko Shimizu. Those things are all very similar to every other issue, trade of The Unwritten that has been published thus far. None of that's new. I'm going to barf.
Don't.
What's different about this, first of all, Vertigo/DC, and everywhere that I've seen this book advertised or posted about, they do a pretty bad job explaining that if you haven't read the series already, this book is going to make fuck all kind of sense to you. And that is where the if comes in. This is a good book and deserves to be read. But if you haven't read at least the first maybe 2 trades, which is close to 20 issues.
No.
15 issues.
Closer.
Of The Unwritten, you might be pretty fucking confused.
Okay.
Because while the book is about Tommy Taylor and the actual story of Tommy Taylor from the fictional universe that they've created, because The Unwritten centers around this kid or this guy named Tom Taylor, whose dad, Wilson Taylor, wrote these Harry Potter-esque books about this little boy named Tommy Taylor.
Kurt Huggins, Zelda, Devon,
Yeah.
the other people involved.
Yeah. So this is essentially the first novel that Wilson Taylor wrote in comic book form. Now, the reason that it might be confusing to a reader who hasn't read The Unwritten is because this fucking book opens with Wilson Taylor writing the novel. It starts on Wilson Taylor.
I know, but do you think that a new reader couldn't read that and just read it?
I think.
I mean, does it pivot on you having to, or does it depend on you having to know who he is to understand it, or if you just know that he's a writer?
I don't think you wouldn't understand that he's writing this book because that's very obvious. A lot of the references and the storyline of Tommy Taylor. Within that, if it was just the story of Tommy Taylor, and I forget the Ship That Sank Twice, the novel, that would be fine. Because it's a narrative about this little boy in this Harry Potter sort of story where he goes to magic school and
He's
all
Harry
this
Potter.
shit. Yeah, all that stuff happens. But then they're almost like chapter breaks where the story of Tommy Taylor is not being told, and the story of Wilson Taylor's creation of Tommy Taylor begins to be told. So then you see things like he goes to the Villa Diodati where Frankenstein was created, the actual story by Mary Shelley. You literally see Wilson Taylor discussing creating Tommy by writing him into existence. And then you see this fucking like hyperbaric chamber that Tommy has to sleep in, and it is not explained even a little bit.
Well, I mean, even that you explained it. Like,
I did.
Yeah, I know, but does it explain that he's willing him into existence?
Not enough. It does not put a fine enough point on it to show you exactly how he's doing it or why he's doing it or any of that stuff.
All this stuff sounds more accessible than I was originally thinking that you meant. Like, because in my head I was thinking it was like, and then they cut to Tom Taylor and his two cohorts.
No,
and it's in the middle of them being chased in France.
No.
In the middle of one of the other trades.
It focuses on Wilson Taylor when Tommy is still a boy.
Okay.
But still, the stuff that they're referencing.
Obviously, it's going to be better if you've read the comic in terms
you don't,
of
you
grasping
don't
everything.
have to have read it.
Well, probably what you're saying is if this sounds interesting, read the series. And then read this.
If you like, it's the story of this guy creating this book, and there's more going on. It's a weird concept that they would put this out and be like, it's a standalone story. It's not. It's not a standalone story. You can read it standalone.
But it sounds like it's standalone.
That's the thing, is you can read it standalone, but if you read it as standalone, then you are completely okay with having zero answers. Because they don't just they don't kind of reference things, they fucking reference things from the series and don't explain them. And if you're fine with that, then yeah, you can let this function as a standalone. If you want,
I guess
answers,
I mean from the perspective of it's not like it's a standalone. Like when I think of standalone graphic novel, I think of it being it's not a part. It's not like part 1 of 2 or something like that.
It's not numbered within the.
There's a beginning and an end within the story, even if it might connect to bigger things elsewhere.
It happens outside of the narrative that's going on within the monthly publication of the Unwritten and the trade paperbacks.
Which I like that it does that, because the reason I didn't buy it when it came out was I kind of don't care at all about Tommy Taylor. I care a lot about Tom Taylor, and I like those stories or whatever, but it's always been hard for me to care about, and I don't know. You don't really have to care necessarily a whole lot about him when you're reading the Unwritten.
Well, the way
I always just was like, oh, it's Harry Potter, I get it.
Well,
okay,
the way
cool.
they write this, there are parallels.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get way more out of it.
Are you dying?
Your fucking cat.
You always blame the cat, but it's not it.
What is it?
Well, I mean, there's times where you come here and don't sneeze. So is that the cat too?
I don't know what you want me to tell you, buddy.
You're not allergic to our cat.
I don't know what you want me to say. You'll get more out of The Ship That Sank Twice if you've read The Unwritten. Yeah. You can enjoy it if you haven't. But I don't understand why you would want to read it if you hadn't read The Unwritten.
Maybe people are interested, dude.
It fucking confuses me that somebody would find out, this looks interesting, and then they'll be like, wait, what? This is about characters who have over 60 issues written about them already? And then it just blows my mind that they wouldn't then be like, I guess I'll start from issue 1.
Do you think it's does it seem like not a cash grab, but like
no, not a cash grab?
Is it vital to
to the story?
Yeah, to the Unwritten.
That's tough.
I mean, do you like it because you really like that series, or
yes,
or do you? Okay,
the answer to that is
I won't finish my question then.
Vital? No, I don't.
Like if you read this, well, I mean, at least of what's come out so far. Like if you were to end up reading it and not read this, you wouldn't be missing anything.
No,
in terms of
they did a good job of keeping my interest, because the Tommy Taylor stuff that Wilson Taylor is writing, the actual like fictionalized Harry Potter send off or send up, is interesting to me.
Yeah.
And the stuff that he's dealing with, the parallels he's drawing between Tom Taylor, his son, and Tommy Taylor, the fictional character.
So Tom Taylor's only in it as a kid. They don't show him.
He is barely in it as a kid.
Yeah. Because
you see Wilson Taylor's journals. That's another thing, is they're journal entries by Wilson Taylor, and I would love to have somebody tell me how they received this book, and having never ever read The Unwritten, because almost all of the time that Wilson Taylor was writing in his journals, it meant more to me. It seemed like it would mean infinitely more to me than anyone who has never read The Unwritten, just because he's referencing all of this shit that I've read about for fucking like 55 issues.
I guess the way I look at it is, if you personally had never read The Unwritten and then read this, you probably would have liked it and then wanted to read The Unwritten.
I don't know, because
I would imagine
The Unwritten, even just the like very first 2 storylines, the amount of history that those characters end up dealing with, none of that is even close to present in this.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, like, with this, would that make you want to seek out the other stuff if you had read this first?
I don't know.
Like, is there not enough there in terms of
There's not.
like the style?
I
or,
don't
like,
think so. I mean, it's the reason that I wanted to read the Unwritten is because the concept that this author had a son and he was named after his most famous fictional creation, and then there came this point where everybody assumed that he was the character for real, and he had done those things for real in his life when he was a kid. That was a really interesting concept to me. And then everything that had happened since then, or has happened since then, that they've done with that story concept has been super interesting to me. Like in this case, you see how Count Ambrosio lost his hair. I'm not joking.
I believe you.
Like it sounds.
I want to read it. The way you said it sounded funny because it made it sound like it was pointless.
It kind of is, man. Like when Count Ambrosio shows up, I was like, "What?"
Because he had long hair.
Yeah, he didn't look anything like Count Ambrosio. So I was like, "Okay, what the fuck? Who is this guy?"
How do they split up the art duties? Is the Tommy Taylor stuff
Really weirdly.
was that? I would imagine that stuff's one artist.
No,
Oh,
you would imagine
is the Peter Gross stuff?
completely incorrectly.
Is the Peter Gross stuff?
Peter Gross draws like the first fucking 37% of this book, and then I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm serious, man. The way they divided the art up makes no sense to me. If I found out that there was some kind of a method to their madness, I would be just.
Is it bookended by Wilson Taylor?
Nope. Ooh, wait, you mean like narratively?
Yeah, like because in my head, like the natural way to do it would be have Peter Gross draw Wilson Taylor writing about it, and then at the end tag up on that, and that's his art, and then the stuff in the middle being the story of Tommy Taylor, be a different art, like a guest artist. I mean, it's like I think of like Fables. That's how Fables does that stuff.
Yeah, they don't do that.
Okay.
It starts with Wilson Taylor writing.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the story of Tommy Taylor.
Do they tell the whole story of Tommy Taylor or do they just show?
Yeah. It's that first novel.
I know, but it is the whole story as opposed to them just like jumping in here and there. Because they kind of do that in the Unwritten.
Well, they jump in here and there, but they tell what is essentially a complete narrative of that first book, where you see Tommy's arc and you see him becoming the character that you know him as if you have read the Unwritten. Which is another thing is in the Unwritten he shows up as this character that is essentially fully formed.
Yeah.
And in this he's not. So
see, I don't even remember. So is Tommy Chamber by
mean
Wilson Taylor
the
real one that we see in the books or in the comic? I'm sorry, in the comic. Is it a spoiler?
It's a giant fucking spoiler.
Okay,
that's one of the biggest storylines of.
Have I even gotten there?
No, you haven't.
I have
How many trades have you read?
6.
You've read all 6 of them?
I think so, yeah.
You might have gotten close then, I think.
Is it not in trade yet?
I can't remember. 7 or 8 are in trade. We can talk about the storyline later.
All right.
But yeah, read the book. No, I would be interested to see what somebody who doesn't read that series regularly thinks about it.
Yeah.
And whether or not they could latch onto those things.
I mean, I guess it would. If you're anything like us, you would see that and be like, "Oh, this is part of something else. I'll go find that thing."
Yeah. Like
if I saw, is it called Endless Nights or Endless Dreams? It's that Sandman graphic novel he did. If I saw that, then I would be like, "Oh, this probably isn't going to make a whole lot of sense to me. I should go read."
See, that's
Sandman.
I don't know that it necessarily won't make sense to anyone because I think you can latch onto a lot of stuff in it, but
well, that's what I'm saying too. Like, I also think about it from the perspective of, I know that's happened to my dad a lot with novels and different things that he's read in comics and stuff, both in America and in Brazil, where he happened upon something where it was like he had no idea until a way later.
Yeah.
That it was part like the first. That's how we started reading the Dresden Files.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. You read like book 7 or something.
And it doesn't say. It says a novel of the Dresden Files. It doesn't say anything about it being part 7.
But Butcher, from what I've read and from what you've told me, because I haven't read a lot of Butcher, Jim Butcher, the author of those novels, does a good job recapping things.
Yeah, he does, and I think that's how he gets away with it, because in the way later books it's harder for him to do because
there's
so much has happened to the character that's changed him. But like in book 7, when a character walks in, he's just like, "This is my liaison at wherever," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
And then he says his name every time he speaks.
No, but like immediately who that character is. But I mean, I don't know. It was weird. He does it. That might be the best and worst thing about how he does it is he does it so well that you don't think that there's other books.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, we were like, oh, sweet, we read part 7.
Yeah.
And like, I would have rather read them in order, but I read them completely out of order, which it still worked. But
like J.K. Rowling,
I've got that OCD thing about me where, like, if I saw this Unwritten graphic novel, and I never read the Unwritten.
Yeah.
Maybe I would buy this graphic novel, but I wouldn't read it until I'd read.
Well, the sense that I
the other
got
stuff.
from Mike Carey and Peter Gross and the creative team is that they weren't worried about filling you in on
New
things
readers
that had happened.
Yeah.
It just seems like they weren't worried about it. It's still really good, and I got a lot out of it. But like I said, I've also read however many fucking issues of the Unwritten that I've read.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll like it. You should read it. What are you picking?
I'm gonna pick American-Born Chinese by Jean.
Luen.
Is it Luen?
Luen.
Yang?
Luen.
Luen Yang.
Jean Yang.
Jean Yang. Jean Luen Yang. If you search it on Amazon, his name is spelled 3 different ways. People don't know how to spell his middle name.
Really?
Yeah. The other one was like Jean Lang Yang or something, which people are
That's
just completely
really
missing.
different.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so this book, I read the first like 15, maybe 20 pages of this in Alter Ego back when we worked there all the time. And I was like, man, this dude doesn't like to use the whole page. This is really annoying. And
Really
also,
doesn't.
this is not that good, and I don't know why people like it so much. And so I put it back and never read it again. Flash forward like 2 years. I bought Boxers and Saints, which I haven't read any of because I heard it was super good. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give that book another shot. And I found it at Half Price Books for $3 or $4.
Which is funny because we had already bought it with Hideous Energy money.
See, I don't remember that. You must have bought it. Like, you must have bought it using Hideous Energy money for you.
I might have.
Because I don't remember that at all.
It's on one of my to-be-read cases in my kitchen.
Oh, okay. So I grabbed it for super cheap just, again, because I was looking at it as I'm buying a book that I remember specifically not liking.
Sure.
So I guess let's roll the dice. And it's super good. You have to get into it. Basically,
That's
the way
my favorite
that
part is you texted me. And you're like, I finished it and it's really good. It's almost like,
it turns out.
yeah, it turns out if I read the entire book, I will understand it. I was like, that's weird.
Basically, there's three different narratives within the book. There's Danny, who's I'll just read from the Amazon synopsis. Danny is an all-American boy, great at basketball, popular with the girls, but his obnoxious Chinese cousin Chin Ki, his annual visit is such a disaster that it ruins Danny's reputation at school. Blah blah blah. In case you're wondering if that's racist because it sounds like chinky or like chinky, like the slur chink, it's intentional.
I would imagine so.
Which, let me straight up tell you now, this book, while very accessible and it won that crazy award, what was it
Isn't
for?
that
Young People's Literature. It was a finalist for that.
What's got the, what's that? It has the fucking, is that what the P is?
I think that's what that is. It also won Eisner Award for Best Graphic Album. It was a nominee for coloring for the Eisners as well. So it's a pretty critically lauded book, especially in schools. You
Yeah.
see it brought up a lot in terms of like school programs with graphic novels.
That's a National Book Award finalist stamp.
Oh, is that what that is?
That's a giant fucking deal.
Big deal, yeah. So I was expecting it to be a little bit more, and it definitely deals with race, and it definitely deals with culture and being proud of
Where
who
you come
you are
from, who
culturally,
you are.
where you come from, yeah, your race, whatever else. But it's not at all preachy. I was expecting it to be, especially because it was taught
Soapboxy.
in schools. Not soapboxy, but like Magneto Testament is taught in schools too. And that book is not about mutants. It's
No.
about the Holocaust
There
and
is
Judaism.
in fact no mutants in the book.
No.
No powers are used.
Huh?
He
He
doesn't.
doesn't stop the bullets. Have you read the book?
They make you think he stops the bullets, and then you turn the page and he didn't. Yeah, you did, because you turn the page and his entire family is fucking dead.
And you thought that he stopped the bullets? The other story is Jin Wang. He starts at a school where he's the only Chinese American student. There's a boy from Taiwan who joins his class, and he doesn't want to talk to him because he calls him an FOB, which is fresh off the boat.
Jesus.
So he basically, through trying to...
Did you have fun reading this at all?
I did. Wait, hold on.
This sounds heartbreaking.
It deals with all that stuff in such a crazy and awesomely effective way.
Yeah.
Because it's all there, but you're never reading it like, okay, so what's that book? I have not been able to get through it yet. It's about being gay and also about racism. Rubber
duck baby rubber duck.
Blanket.
But baby blanket. Stuck rubber baby.
Stuck rubber baby.
I read the first 2 pages of that at C2E2 and had to put it down because I realized that was not the setting.
Yeah, that book is, and not that book's bad or preachy or anything, but that book is much more hardcore in its depictions of homophobia and racism. From what I've seen, again, it's very hard to read. So every time I've picked it up, I've basically gotten 6-7 pages in and been like, okay, time to read. I don't know, Spider-Man, something that I need to kind of
read Mesmo Delivery.
Get all the seriousness out. So, and then the third story in it is about the Monkey King, which is the stuff that I read in the store and was like, this is stupid.
That's what the book begins with.
Right. And it goes back and forth between the 3 stories. The Monkey King, who is the story that I was not digging when I first read the book, is one of my favorites in the book, and I've done a ton of I say research like I'm writing a paper. Research in terms of me just being interested in it because it comes from Journey to the West.
Did you go to the library or did you use Wikipedia?
Library. The online library, the internet.
You're killing culture.
That's fine. I'm embracing the future.
It's weird that you had that reaction to the beginning of this book because when I read that, which I think I read it at the shop too, probably the exact same copy you read.
Probably.
I really liked it.
You're cooler than me, man. Good job.
No, I know.
The stuff at the beginning's really goofy, and it's not like that doesn't continue.
Laughed.
I know, but that doesn't continue through the rest of the book. So I don't know. It's kind of weird that he started it that way. I guess other than to maybe trick people into thinking that it was going to be about bananas and banana jokes, because there's a lot of that at the beginning,
and they're funny.
I don't know. They're banana jokes. So, I mean, they're funny on a certain level.
You are limiting yourself.
After 2 banana jokes, I'd had my fill. That Journey to the West...
You hate bananas, though.
...story... Shut up.
That journey...
I do, but that has nothing to do with my appreciation of a joke.
What if it's a joke about bananas?
It's not a joke about how bananas are tasty. The joke is monkey-like banana.
That's a funny joke.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
I don't remember.
Journey to the West. Yeah, shut up.
Wait, is that a Prince Award on the cover, or is that a National Book Award?
I don't know.
I'm really worried about it.
Journey to the West is this like super ancient story.
Ancient?
What?
It sounds like you said anxious.
No. Super old story where it's a ton of stuff in our popular culture has come from based off of that.
Really?
Yeah, there's the Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett, and then also another dude, I forget his name, and he's super responsible for it too. They did a giant Broadway musical about it.
No shit.
And I have the soundtrack to it because it was basically the Gorillaz dudes. It's all based off of that. Karen O helped with it a little bit too. And then
they might as well have just signed it over to you.
Yeah, I know. Then there's a video game that I almost bought because of this book that I didn't buy in the past called Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, which is made by the people who made Heavenly Sword. But then I read that they're releasing like a collector's edition this month, so I'm waiting to buy it. But it comes from that story. Dragon Ball Z also comes from that story.
No shit.
It's pretty crazy. So
wait, is that why he has a monkey tail?
Yes.
That is fucking crazy.
Yep. So the Monkey King is a character in that story. Basically, in Journey to the West, I mean, I'm explaining it in the most broad strokes because I haven't obviously read it, but I read about it. The Monkey King is one of the characters that goes with this main character on a journey to gather these 7 Dragon Balls.
The Dragon Balls. Oh my fucking god.
So that plays a part into American-born Chinese. The Monkey King story is basically what comes before Journey to the West, and it's all in there, and you can look it up. But then the thing that's crazy to me is all 3 of the stories, 1,000%, like no plot holes or any way around it, connect and are all part of one another, which
that's
they
awesome.
don't seem like they're going to be at all.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest.
I like his art a lot too.
Yeah, his art's really good. I don't understand why he uses a quarter of the page, but
I hate
it's okay.
that he wastes that much page.
I don't really understand it, but it's okay. It could be something cultural. It makes me wonder if maybe like it harkens back to a style of art, maybe from China or maybe from history. I have no idea. So I mean, it could just be me being a total ignorant American and being like, that is stupid. Use whole page.
I mean,
but I don't know.
It just looks like they printed it wrong.
I don't get it, but it's super good. The story doesn't feel lighter for not using as much of the page or anything. He uses his panels really well. It's really, really good. I'm going to reread it here soon, but I'm super pumped to read Boxers and Saints now because
I guess I'll read this tomorrow.
Stude is way competent. So yeah, read it. It's not overhyped, and that's kind of something that I always not worried about. But like a lot of these books, before you read them, you hear so much about them.
We've read some of those that are like, this book's amazing.
Yeah, and especially the ones that they use in school, like that Sean Tan, is that his name? The Arrival.
Yeah,
that graphic novel.
That book's beautiful.
It is beautiful, and it's not bad at all. But like when I finally quote unquote read it, I'm just kind of like, all right, like I get it, but like it's hard for me when you hear the ones that are always taught in schools. A lot of time to me are bad examples of comics, or bad examples.
You and I are
of the form.
You and I are very, very attached to narrative.
Yeah, but at the same time, like. That Arrival book by Sean Tan is so unique. It is, and it's one of the reasons I think that it's so good. And it is a good book. I'm not detracting from that at all. Yeah. But I guess when you use it in an educational setting, I don't know. It almost seems counterintuitive because you're setting a precedent there that's not going to continue. I think to play devil's advocate, one of the reasons I would want to use it is to show that the form is capable of a lot of different things. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess it would just be dependent on. I'm looking at it from a point of view of the curriculum that people use, as opposed to how it's taught. It depends on why you're using it, and what the goal is behind showing students the Arrival. Because obviously, showing them Mouse, you're aiming for a different set. And that was my assumption with this book was. Not Mouse, but along the same levels of Mouse or Magneto Testament, where it's like a very, very historically and culturally rich. It deals with culture, and it's about that. Yeah, and the fact that it's a graphic novel is maybe secondary. That's why I love, and that's not the case. That's why I love that this comic exists, like this and Testament and Mouse, and. I haven't read March yet, but I really want to. Yeah. But these comics that are dealing with culture and humans and how we interact with each other and showing that comics are capable of doing these things, telling these kinds of stories, and they're not always going to be about Batman or characters like that. Sometimes they'll be about Magneto. Sometimes they will be That's about... That's your point, right? Yes. Sometimes they're about the X-Men. Sometimes they are about Eric Lindshare. Have you ever been alone in the woods and you needed a hatchet, but also you kind of wanted to read Action Comics? Yes. That's happened to me, only it was kind of a similar situation. I was in the desert, and I needed Ultimate Spider-Man. Yes. Luckily, DCBS was there for me. Discount comic book service. You can find them on dcbservice.com. Yes. Online. They will throw out parachutes of supplies and comics, little like parcels like in Lost where they drop food onto the island. Is that your line? No. Okay. And get you with your comic book fixins. They will. DCBservice.com, you can get so much awesome stuff on there for discounted prices. A lot of really good prices. Anything you can think of. If you want to buy that gross Catwoman issue, they got it. That is there. If you want to read it, they're going to charge you for it, but they'll charge you like half off for it. They will give you a really good deal on it. You can also follow them on Twitter. DCB Service, yeah. DCB Service is their Twitter handle. If you're in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area, stop by their store. We've already told some hilarious stories about stopping in there. Like they'll punch you if you want them to. We've said a lot of really funny things. High five. Seriously, if you go in there, we'll play it straight this time. They'll have a conversation with you and talk to you. They'll talk to you. They'll be nice. They'll sell you some comics, and then right after you leave, you can go to the Chinese place that's next door. Yeah, it's great food. We almost always go there. We always do. Go to DCBS. Go to DCBservice.com and get some comics.